Hello, friends. 2021 is about to end and 2022 is upon us. So let's talk about some plans. I have some plans. Too many plans. It's that time of year that we start reflecting on the year that was and start planning for the year that will be. So I've done quite a bit of thinking about the past year. It's my first year on BookTube, and I think it was a good time. I had a lot of fun. I think I'm going to change things up a little bit this year. Last year I was really focused on group reads and meetups and things like that. I'm going to still do those things, but not as much. So let's talk about that a little bit. So I think one of the main things is I spent a lot of time organizing things and putting other things off so we can do other group reads and big read-alongs and things like that. And while I had fun, I've accumulated a lot of books that I haven't read. So I'm going to prioritize books that I have on hand, and those will be my priority. So that'll be the books I'm focused on the most. And when I sat down to make a list, I thought, let's make a list of 10 series and 10 books, 10 standalones that I want to read. And it didn't work out too well. It was a lot more than that. But it's okay, because another thing I'm going to try this year is to not worry about schedules and times and I have to read this by this point, I have to read this by that point. I mean, I'm still going to try and have a timeline for things so I can get things done, but I'm not going to worry so much about it. So it's not going to be still big of a concern that it'll get in the way of enjoying whatever I'm reading. So let's start. Let's talk about what I have planned. So what I want to do more this year is read more grimdark. I'm still going to be reading horror, still going to be reading other genres. I just think I want to focus more on grimdark and get into titles that I've been wanting to read that I just haven't. So that'll be a focus this year for me, is more grimdark. I want to dive more into it. A little bit more into fantasy. I'm still going to be reading lots of horror, but there's some books that I've been putting off that I have on hand that I haven't read yet. So let's start with the series that I'm going to be reading this year. The big focus on my channel this year is going to be Malazan, Book of the Fallen. Last year I tried to start this book when Mike's Book Review started his group read, and it was the first fantasy book I read in a very, very long time, and I just couldn't keep up with it. But I know that it's a beloved series. I know it's a long series. It's a series that takes some time and energy to get into, and I'm to the point now where I'm ready to make that jump. I'm ready to try it again. So I'm going to be reading Malazan, Book of the Fallen, going to start with Gardens of the Moon in January. I'm going to plan it about 2 months per book, so I'm not going to be pushing it too far. It seems like they're the kind of books that you want to take your time with. I'm not going to rush through them, but that'll be a focus on my channel in the next year. So that'll be something to look out for. And I do have some meetups planned for February. I don't have dates yet, but have some guests that are committed to coming, I hope, and it'll be a lot of fun. So I'm going to be continuing that series this year. I'm going to keep going at a nice, even pace. So that's one series that I'm going to start this year in January. In January, we are starting the first Lost Standalones, and then we'll be going into the Age of Madness trilogy. I believe it's a trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. So we're going to be starting that. I'm going to be reading that with Yolene from Yolene Reads, and those are the two that we'll be reading together. I'm not sure if Yolene is as all in on Malazan as I am, but I'm going to continue. It's going to be something I focus on, so I'll be reading Malazan. So if anyone wants to join any of the stuff I talk about, I plan everything on the forums. I think another thing this year that I was doing is I was having to jump to platform, like this person uses Twitter, this person uses Discord, this person uses email, this person uses whatever it was. And I was trying to communicate with everyone on all these different platforms and waiting for responses and trying to organize. And to be frank, it was a pain in the ass. And I spent a lot of time doing that. I'm not doing that anymore. So everything I talk about is on the forums. That's the one place you can find me, that I will be posting everything on the calendar. All the events, everything I have planned will be there posted. And if you ever wanted to join something that I post, just let me know. If there's not a spot to RSVP for the event, let me know you want to join and we'll work something out. But everything I do is on that event calendar. That event calendar is what I go to. Even in real life stuff I have planned is it sounds kind of sad. But when I want to make plans, I have to look at that calendar to see what I have planned that day. So I post everything there. That's my go-to place. So that'll be the place that I go to. That's the place you can find me fastest. I'm trying to use Twitter less and less. I still use it, but just organizing everything in one place is much easier, and it'll just be on the forum. So if you need help registering, if you need help using it, let me know, or I also have a video on how to use it. So the next thing on my list is the Prince of Nothing series by R. Scott Baker. I'm going to be starting that series, and some of these series I'm going to start. That doesn't mean I'm going to finish. Like, I'm not going to finish Malazan in 1 year. It's going to take more than that. So I won't be finishing all these series, but I'll be starting all of these in 2022. The next one that I'll be starting probably early 2022 is The Rift Cycle by Halo Scott. It's a book that I've had on my shelf for a long time, and the synopsis, I usually don't read the synopsis, but the one for Rift Cycle, the first book for Edge of the Breach, is in a post-apocalyptic world where reason and birth determines power, spring healers, summer mages, fall shapeshifters, and winter shields, a man and woman emerge from tragic childhoods to lead humanity on opposite sides of an inter-realm war. And it just sounds, for those of you on Twitter, Halo Scott is a must-follow. Halo is hilarious. It's just always brightens my day. Just really funny tweets. So check that out if you're on Twitter. The next series, now I have 15 of these, 15 series that I will be starting. Doesn't mean I'm going to finish in 2022. So I have 12 months to start these. So again, I won't be finishing all of them. Next one, The Obsidian Path by Michael R. Fletcher. I'm a big Michael R. Fletcher fan, and I'm excited to get into that one. It's another book I've had on my shelf for a while, and I'm ready to start it. That's going to happen this year. The next one is War for the Rose Thorn by Peter McLean. I read Priest of Bones this year, and I really loved it. And then I didn't continue because we had other things going on. So I was trying to do other things, and it just fell behind. It just fell behind on the series. So I'm going to read that series this year that's happening. I may reread Priest of Bones, but I'm not sure yet, just to refresh my memory. That's another thing that really sucks about, because you start a series and you put it down and you want to come back to it later, you forget things. The next thing is Chasing Graves, the Chasing Graves trilogy by Ben Galley. I also read Chasing Graves this year, back in March of 2021. I really enjoyed it. Again, it just fell behind because we had other stuff going on, and I didn't go back to it. So that's another series I'm going to finish this year. It's only a trilogy, so I'll be good this year to finish that. The next one is Chronicle of the Unhewn Throne by Brian, I always mispronounce his last name, Stavili. Sorry, I pronounced that wrong. So we started that one this year. The next one, Gunmetal Gods. Now this is a series that's not finished yet, by Zamil Akhtar. And Zamil, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. We have a meetup scheduled on January 30th. Now it's in the morning because of the time difference. So that is scheduled, and on the calendar, it is open to anyone who wants to join. We're going to be discussing the first book in that series, which is Gunmetal Gods. So that is on the calendar. The next series I want to start is Warfare of the Gods by C.T. Ortega. That is one I've been wanting to try to start that I just haven't. It's right behind me on my shelf, right? Those two books. The next one, a series I hear a lot about, and I want to read it because it's just wrapped up, I believe, is The Books of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. So I'm going to start that. I have Senlin Ascends right here on my shelf, right behind me. That's just sitting there saying read me, and I haven't started it. Next one is The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. We planned on starting this in December, and some other things came up. We weren't able to start it, but that is something that I hope to start with Summer from Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. We had talked about it previously. I hope we can make that happen. Next one is The Lotlands by Jonathan French, where the first book is The Grey Bastards, and that's also on my shelf, that orange book right there. I'm going to start that this year. The next book, or the next series, is Fall of Emros, and that is by Thomas J. Devins. We do have a meetup scheduled for that with Thomas on January 8th, also on the calendar. Check that out if you want to join. The first book, we'll be discussing that first book in the series. And the last series I'm going to start, that is, I am committed to starting, is the Gabriel Davenport series by Beverly Lee. So those are the series I'm starting in 2022. I'm committed to starting those series. That I'm going to do it. I want to read those books. I have all those books on my shelf that I've just been sitting there for almost a year, some of them. It's time to get through them. It's time to get through these books. And I'm excited to get to the stuff that I've been putting off for so long. And I'm really just ready to get at it. I'm really excited for the new year. Now, I wanted to do 25 standalones that I wanted to read. These books I'm going to read in 2022. Again, I think I have all of these on my shelf. They've all been sitting there for months, some of them for longer, and I am ready to get to them. These standalones, I wanted to narrow it down to like 10, and I started typing them out, and then I had like 40. So I had to cut it down to, and I was going to try 25. I couldn't get down to 25. I'm at 28. So that's what it is. I'm going to go with it because I'm a rebel, and I'm not going to go 25. Let's go 28. So these books I am committed to reading. These are priority reads for me. I want to have these done in 2022. So in December, in a year from now, I want to have these done. So if I'm still on BookTube, we're going to check in and see how I did. Maybe like in 6 months, if I'm still around, we'll do like a check-in to see what my progress is like. But these will all be priority reads. The first book, Children by Bjorn Larson. It's a Norse mythology retelling. This is a book I wanted to read in December, and we, again, just got wrapped up with other things. The next one, Chaos Reigns, Oath Broken by J. Smith. The next one is Ghost City Girl by Simon Paul Wilson. This is scheduled for a meetup. I'm reading this with Lauren from Paperback Empire, and I believe Stacy from Stacy's All Booked is reading with us. That is scheduled for January 30th. So check it out on the calendar if you want to join. The next one, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark. This is another book that's on my shelf. It's a chunky boy, but I want to read this one. And this is one that I think would be fun to group read with. So if, like I said, if anyone's interested, let me know. The next one, Wolf Eater by Anthony Mitchell. The Terror by Dan Simmons, and I think I'm starting that sooner rather than later. I know we wanted to read it last year, and again, just fell behind. It's also on my shelf right there. It's time. The Terror has been waiting. Okay. The next one, The Rape of Nanking by Iris Chang. That's another one I've been wanting to read for a long time, and after reading The Poppy War, I realized I should be reading more history, and I believe this is related to the story in The Poppy War, and don't want to say too much to spoil it. The next one is Hero Forged by Josh Erickson. This is another book that's right there that I'm wanting to read. Looking forward to that. Negative Space by B.R. Yeager. I hear this one's a disturbing horror book, and I'm curious about it. I think the cover is great. Next one is a book I started a few months ago and never finished. I got, 30, 40 pages in, and I just didn't have time to get back to it. And that is The Shining by Stephen King. If I enjoy The Shining, I will continue and read Dr. Sleep. I also have Dr. Sleep down there. It's a hardcover that I got from a used bookstore. So I'm on the fence whether or not I'm a Stephen King fan. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if it's for me, if his writing style's for me. I did have Revival and It on my initially on my list. After reading Wizard and Glass, I took them off because I'm not sure that I want to prioritize those over some of these other books. So, yeah. Sorry, Stephen King fans. I'm trying. The next one, Paladin Unbound by Jeffrey Spite. Jeffrey, hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. The next one is a book that I want to read soon. Is Timberwolf by Dominic Adler. That's a book that I've just had my eye on for a while, and I want to get to it. So that'll be soon. The next one is A Congregation of Jackals by S. Craig Zahler. It's another one that slowly read reviewed many, many months ago, and I've had my eye on it, and I want to. Again, another book I've had on my shelf, I just haven't read. The next one, The Steel Remains by Richard K. Morgan. The Safe by Daniel Barnett is on my list. I'm a huge Daniel Barnett fan. I was a fan of him as a person, because he's just a cool person. He's a great guy, great person. And then I started reading Nightmareland Chronicles, and wow. I mean, I knew he was talented. I mean, I knew that he had, but man, that series is special. That series is great. The next one, The God King's Legacy by Richard Nell. Richard Nell is one of my favorite authors. I'm sure you've all heard me mention. Huge Richard Nell fan. I think he's a fantastic author. He's a really, really interesting and intriguing person. I can listen to him talk all day. So, yeah. Again, another book that's been on my shelf. I'm trying to clean these up. Let's get these done. The next one, The Hungry Earth by Nicholas Kaufman. I talked to Nicholas on a Friday conversation several months ago, and I just hearing him talk about the book and what it's about has me really, really excited to read it. And it's a book that's, again, been on my shelf that I'm going to get to. The next one, another author I've chatted with, An Alliance of Enemies, Dissension by Reuben K. Eckert. I'm going to be reading that, again, sooner rather than later. The next one is Kin by Keelan Patrick Burke. That's Keelan Patrick Burke. I hear Book Blather talk about that, about Keelan Patrick Burke all the time. So I went out and bought some of his books, and I never got to them. We're going to change that. Next one, Cabin Terror, Sarah Jane Huntington. That's a book that came out recently, been on my shelf, going to be read. The next one, one of my favorite authors that I've read this year is Immortelle by Catherine McCarthy. It's a novella. It's a short one, so I should have no trouble getting into that. Now, a lot of these that I'm going to name off, except for the very, very last one, are books that I've been looking into, books that I've found on various sites about grimdark, dark fiction, dark fantasy. So these are all books I picked up just looking at reviews and just kind of looking into popular books or books that are on awards lists and that are I think they're all indie books, but I might be wrong. Let's start with Hall of Bones by Tim Hardy. The next one is Shadows of Ivory by T.L. Gray and Bryce O'Connor. Next one is Burn Red Skies by Kirsten Espinosa Rosero. Next one, Legacy of the Brightwash by Crystal Matar, and that's a book that Ben from Literature and Lo-Fi reviewed recently that after he suggested We Men of Ash and Shadow. I mean, I knew we share tastes, but it was confirmed after We Men of Ash and Shadow. I love that book. The next one, The Court of Broken Knives by Anna Smith Spark. These are all behind me right here that I just purchased them. The next one is A Drowned Kingdom by P.L. Stewart. So looking forward to that. And the last one is one that I want to read. I think it may be the only science fiction book. It's Escaping First Contact by T.S. Beer. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name properly. That is Tina, who is from Sound and Fury book reviews on YouTube. I'm going to leave her channel down below. Does fantastic reviews, and I'm just really curious to read it. There is one series that I didn't add to the list, and that is the Expanse series. I'm not a big fan of space operas, and I have a problem with watching a live-action adaptation and then reading the book because it's too fresh in my mind, so I don't like to. I need some time to kind of digest it and let it simmer a little bit. I need some separation before I start the books, and so it's on my radar. I think I may start that late 2022, maybe fall or winter 2022. So I do want to get into it. I'm just not a huge fan of space operas, and I want to like space operas. I just don't. Just can't get into it. So it's on my list. So that is a possibility for series that I will start in 2022. Like I said, if someone wants to read that with me and is like, hey, let's do this. I'm committed. Let's go. then I'll move it up, or any of this other stuff. If any of you want to, like, hey, I want to do this, let's make it happen, then I will. Otherwise, I'm just kind of be floating out there and reading whatever I feel like. I've never been much of a mood reader. I mean, I'll still have a plan of my own. I just won't have, um, I just won't have like a schedule with other people. So, I mean, I always enjoy buddy reads. I enjoy reading with other people. I enjoy having these meetups, and I'll let everyone know when I'm reading what. But, and then if I have something planned, like an event or a meetup, be on the calendar. So everything will be there on the forums. And so I hope if you're not there already, you drop by, say hello, or at least just check the event calendar and see what's happening. And there's lots of stuff going on. I mean, I try and make cool plans, like fun plans and fun things to do. So they're open to, most of the time they're open to anyone. So check it out if you're curious. I'm looking forward to it. So those are my plans for 2022, and it sounds like a lot. Now, when I first put it together, I said, "Oh shit, what am I doing to myself?" But I have a year to start these series and start these read these standalones, 28 of them, and there's 15 series I want to start. So it's not too bad, really. I think of a 12-month period. That's not bad. No, I know that I'm going to see a shiny thing eventually, and I'm going to want to read something else. These are the books I'm committed to reading 2022. I'm going to read these. So I want to come back in a few months, if I'm still around, on BookTube, and we will check my progress. I think it'd be fun to check it out. I'm also going to leave a link down below with a thread with all of these books listed with links to Amazon. So I'm going to have a forum thread going with my plans for 2022, and I will post things that are happening. If we have an event planned, or I'm working on something with an author to meet up or whatever, it'll all be there in that 2022 thread. So I will leave that link below. If you're curious, if you missed one of the books I named off, they'll all be there on that thread with links to Amazon. You can go check it out. That's all I have. Those are my plans. I'm really excited, and it sounds like a lot, but it's really not that bad. It's really not that bad. It's a whole year's worth of books. I'm sure I'll read more than these, but yeah, I think just kind of going with whatever I feel like reading. It's kind of going to be kind of the thing, and not being so worried about when I need it done by, or when and it may happen for some of these, but I think some of them will just be like, I feel like reading this month. So I will leave that thread down below. Check it out. If you have any questions for me, if you have any books that are on this list that you want to read with me, again, I'm open to reading any of these with any of you. I don't care if you have a channel or not. If you just want to be in the chat, we can do something. So let me know. I'm open. I love this kind of stuff. I love to interact with all of you, and I hope some of you take me up on these, and just it's fun. So what do you have planned for 2022? What's your strategy? How are you approaching it? Do you have an idea? Are you just kind of saying, I'm going to do whatever I feel like, I do what I want? Then that's cool too. I wish I could be like that. It's just not the way my brain works. So thanks for coming by. Let me know down below what you have planned for 2022. Do any of these books, or any of these books or series on your radar? Do you want to read any of these? Let me know. I want to hear about it. Let me know what your plans are. Let me know what you're excited for. What changes are you going to make? What are you looking forward to in the new year? Let me know down below. So until next time, I really appreciate all of you watching. It's weird that anyone watches at all. So thank you for taking the time. That's the most valuable commodity. So thank you for taking your time to watch me ramble about books that I want to read in 2022. I really, really appreciate your time. And I appreciate all of you for your support and your kind words. So thank all of you. You're making this, you've made this a lot of fun, and I'm really, really lucky, really fortunate. So thanks for coming by, and let me know down below, like I said, what you have planned, and excited for the new year. Let's do it. Let's make 2022 badass, and let's make it a lot of fun. Let's do it together. I'm ready. So thanks again. Talk to you soon.